Hey, let's make this vocab go viral. How about it? It's me, Moser, and after this video, you should be able to identify a virus and their basic parts. You should be able to describe a pathogen as a disease-causing agent, and you should be able to describe DNA and RNA as genetic material used by viruses. Well, and living things, but we'll get there. What is a virus? Well, a virus is, for starters, incredibly tiny. It's infectious, meaning it's able to infect, and it's pathogenic. It causes disease. They take multiple shapes and forms, and they are, this is important, not living things. Who knew that? So when we say that a virus is incredibly tiny, we mean really, seriously, tiny. This is a human cell, and human cells range anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 nanometers wide and tall. They're pretty darn small. You can't see them with the naked eye, but you can with a microscope. Bacterial cells are a whole lot smaller than human cells. They're usually only around 1,000 nanometers wide or long. And viruses are 10 times that small, just 100 nanometers across. To give you an idea, that's just 10 times bigger than a piece of DNA. That's pretty tiny. Viruses are infectious. They are all able to infect the living things around them. There's a nice cloud of respiratory droplets. Well, not only are they able to infect living things, but they are pathogenic, all of them. That means they cause diseases, and they don't just cause diseases in humans. Viruses can cause diseases in everything from the kale or cabbage or cauliflower in your garden, that's the mosaic virus, to your tomatoes, to fish, to sweet little humans. That's chickenpox. You probably never had it. Count yourself lucky. So all viruses are infectious. They can all infect living things, and every single virus can cause disease. Viruses take a whole bunch of different shapes and forms. Some of them are helical. They're actually sort of spirally. Some of them are polyhedral. They're polyhedrons, like you've studied in geometry. Some of them are what are called enveloped viruses, and some are even weirder than that. That complex virus looks like some sort of small spaceship. Here are things that are either artists' renderings. That there should look familiar to you. It's a type of coronavirus. This is a helical virus, and that's one that affects tobacco. That's one of those complex viruses, and it's actually a virus that affects bacteria. We can see lots of different shapes of viruses. Here are just a few of sort of the greatest hits. And you can see HIV, hepatitis B, the Ebola virus, that one will kill you, adenovirus, which tends to cause diarrhea in children, influenza virus, and again, those bacteriophages, viruses that actually attack bacteria. Viruses are not living things. This is super important. How can they not be living things? Well, for one thing, they are not made of cells. They have no cells. We'll get to what they do have in a little bit. For another thing, they can't reproduce. Viruses are not able to make more of themselves. How do they reproduce? Well, they don't. They get their host's cells, like your cells, to do it for them. So let's talk about pathogen. We said viruses were pathogenic. Well, what is a pathogen? It's anything that causes disease in a living thing. It's an agent, a thing. So that can include some bacteria. There are some good bacteria, don't get me wrong, but there are bacteria that cause disease in living things. It can also include, there's our little friend, all viruses. There are no beneficial viruses. Viruses are all, they're all bad guys. They're all disease-causing. But pathogens can also include some fungi. So you might like mushrooms on your pizza and you might love the yeast that makes your bread rise, but there are actually fungus that can infect living things and cause disease. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, but you don't actually need to know that yet. We're going to talk about DNA a lot this year, but we'll start off by just covering the basics. So it's a long molecule. And when I say long, I'm talking like imagine pulling a really long strand of a horse's tail or something. A long, long thread, something that's thousands of times as long as it is wide. That's DNA for you. DNA is actually a set of chemical instructions. It's like a cookbook recipe. And it's a recipe for building proteins. We're going to talk about what proteins are in a little bit. Now, DNA is used by all living things, like you and me and maple trees and fish and mushrooms and mice and dandelions, and you get the picture. Bacteria, they use DNA, but it's also used by some viruses, not all, but some viruses, to pass on genetic information. That is, instructions to make more viruses. Just because they can't make more viruses, they still have to have a recipe for when they hijack your cells. So DNA is used by all living things and some viruses to pass on genetic information. So lots of people have heard of DNA, but I'd say a lot fewer people have heard of RNA. It's like DNA's weird little sibling. So when you look at it, it looks like one half of a DNA molecule. Though there is one chemical difference in it. It's got a different chemical in one of the positions, but we'll talk about that later. For now, you should know that it looks like half of a DNA molecule, and that it's used by living things like you, me, maple trees, mushrooms, fish, mice, bacteria, dandelions. Yeah, Moser, we got it. It's used by living things to build protein in their cells. Well, that's fantastic. Why are we talking about it with viruses? Well, it's also used by some viruses to pass on genetic information. Remember, we said some viruses use DNA to pass on their genetic information, but there are some viruses that use RNA to do the same thing. We'll talk much more about DNA and RNA later. For now, all you need to know is that viruses can use either one of those chemicals to pass on the instructions to make more of them. So wait, we said RNA is used to make protein. What is protein? Because when I think of protein, I just think of a juicy hamburger. That's a protein. What? That looks like some sort of crazy clay sculpture. No, that's actually sort of a molecular level view of a protein. A simplified view of a protein would be something like this. It's a chain. It's just a chain of little chemicals called amino acids. They are hooked together with peptide bonds. We will talk way more about proteins later. And as it turns out, living things are built from proteins. You, a maple tree, a blue whale, a mouse, a dandelion, that earthworm over there, the bluegill that you caught last week, they're all built from proteins. How cool. Well, as it turns out, viruses are also at least partially built from proteins. Remember how we said that the instructions contained in DNA are for making proteins? Yeah, well, you kind of need instructions to build a living thing or to build a virus. What's a capsid? It sounds like a capsule. What is that? Well, we said that viruses had DNA or RNA. That's the stuff right there. Surrounding it, they've got sort of a protective shell. A capsid is a shell that's made of protein that surrounds and protects the genetic material of the virus. And remember, that genetic material could be DNA or it could be RNA. Here's a slightly more sophisticated picture of a capsid. And you can see that the DNA is down in here. This is sort of a cutaway view. All this material out here is proteins that are protecting the DNA. And these spikes, well, we'll talk more about what they do later. An envelope? I know what an envelope is. I just mailed a birthday card to my grandma. Well, this is a viral envelope. So we said that viruses have genetic material surrounded by a capsid, which is sort of a protective shell. Some viruses have an extra layer of protection. That's the envelope. It's an extra layer of protection. Not all viruses have it. It's only found in some. But that envelope is made of either proteins or, in some cases, a special kind of fat. Here's a super simplified picture of a virus. We've got our genetic material. Remember, that's going to be either DNA or RNA. We have this protective shell right here called a capsid. We have an envelope, not on all viruses, but on a fair number of them. And these things we didn't really talk about. These are spikes, and they're topped with little proteins. That's going to become important as we talk about how we fight viruses and how vaccination works against them. Okay, can you identify viruses and their very basic parts? Can you describe a pathogen as an agent that causes disease? And do you know that DNA and RNA are used as genetic material by viruses? Well, the living things we'll talk about later. If you do, then hey, you're good. Go on.